So students just coming in, you are in the right place. We are just under 2 minutes from starting this event. So just hang tight. We will begin shortly. We're glad you're here. Oh, man.
Jason, what's your mask say? I see strong, but I can't make out the.
Oh yeah, it says MT Strongs. It's like the little promotion MTSU does to kind of rep MTSU. So I thought I'd wear it for the call just to rep it. So and I'm on campus, so it's like a requirement. But
there we go. And then Rachel, you got on the Alabama hat.
I've got on the wrong colors, huh?
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
Undergrad number 1.
Nice.
Made some mistakes along the way, but here I am.
Hey, as long as you're here, right? We all in the same place. Hey.
All right, so I have 6 p.m., so I'm ready to get us started for this special keynote event. I want to start by thanking Ascend Federal Credit Union for sponsoring our whole week of Tennessee Financial Literacy Week events. This is a Middle Tennessee State University initiative. We are really delighted to have Brandon Copeland. He is a father, a husband, a son, a brother, a mentor, a Christian, a real estate developer, philanthropist, entrepreneur, and also a 9-year veteran that plays for the Atlanta Falcons that teaches a financial literacy course called Life 101 at his alma mater, the University of Pennsylvania. He's excited to be here to speak to you all, and he's here to answer your questions. So we ask that you please type your questions for Mr. Copeland into the chat, and he will be taking those questions for you today at the end of his presentation. So Brandon, it's all yours.
Thanks so much, Keith. I appreciate it. Appreciate you all having me. So super excited to be here. It's literally a year later. So I don't know, some of you might not know the backstory, but I'm sure we all know about COVID, but literally this was planned for last year. And we were supposed to come down there, have a great time in person, do some working out together, all of that type of stuff, get the blood flowing. But, a year later, we were able to make it happen via Zoom. So I cannot tell you how excited I am that we got a chance to get this thing going, but also that I got a chance to talk to you all at MTSU. Tennessee has a special place in my heart, being that my rookie year in 2013 and going into 2014, I was a Tennessee Titan. So I was down there, on was it Broadway and all of the places I probably shouldn't have been. That's why the beginning of my career was a bit rocky. I was a partier as opposed to locking in on the sport. But it was a great time. I put on a lot of weight because y'all cook way too good down there. And again, I'm super excited to be back here in this fashion. But before I get into myself, I want to get to know you all a little bit. Right. So if you could use the chat feature, I need to know who I'm talking to. I need to know who's in the room. You can't just walk into any room. We got recordings on. Can't just trust anybody nowadays. So I need you all to answer a question for me. First and foremost, ranch or blue cheese? Put it in the chat for me real quick. I need to know. This is how you know you can trust it. There's way too much ranch in here. How do you like ranch over blue cheese? There's no character to that. Oh my gosh. Some people I see with the blue cheese. All right, my bias is showing. It's the South. Is the ranch a South thing? I didn't know. Blue cheese has mold in it, but that's what gives you that callus that can help you prevent diseases and stuff. All right, cool. So we got ranch and blue cheese. I see what you're, what you guys are leaning towards, right? All right, question number 2, so that I can get to know you all better than I know you now. Not sure how many of you are sports fans, but I want to see, stick with me if you're not. Michael Jordan or LeBron? Let me see what you think. Damn, that was quick. Sheesh. Dang, one LeBron. We got one LeBron. LeBron about to have a Space Jam movie too, just like MJ. I'm trying to tell you. MJ, I'm an MJ fan myself as well. 6 for 6. I got you. Drop the mic. Awesome. Well, no, I appreciate it. Really appreciate you all having me. Again, I like to do that just to get to know who I'm talking to. Clearly we are tilted towards Ranch and Michael Jordan in here. So good thing I didn't wear a LeBron jersey or anything like that today. I got a lot on my mind to talk with you guys about. And I want to make sure, I know we all sit in front of these Zooms and these webinars and things like that. And I want to make sure that we keep this as interactive and as interesting as possible. So if at any time, I know you guys have the chat bar, feel free to utilize that to put any questions that you have in it throughout. If there is anything that you want to get across to my attention, I think that there's a raise hand button, but then also feel free to come off of mute and just blurt it out, if in a respectful way, what I'm saying? Don't mess up the whole recording, but without further ado, I want to dive in. So first and foremost, I wanted to introduce you to myself, right? I think that this is the most important part of me, and I want you all to, we'll talk about your team in a bit, but this is my team, right? This is my family. That's my wife right there. My son, he's a bit older since this picture was taken, but his name is Bryson. He's going on 21 months in a few days here. And then down in the bottom left corner, you see the people, my village, the people who made me the person who I am. I think it's important for us all to understand our teams, right? And understand what we work for, because as we go through life, as we hit these obstacles, it's really, really easy to give up on yourself. We'll dive into this a little bit further, but it's easy to give up on the diet when it's just you, I'll get into that next week. It's easy to not budget properly when it's like, okay, well, I can work a little bit harder. But when you're thinking about, hey, if I make this purchase today, if I give up on this diet today, and it affects my primary income, and now that affects my son, that affects my wife, that affects my village, it's a lot harder for me to give up on them than it is to give up on myself. So I want you all to keep that in mind, because I want you to start thinking about, okay, well, who's my team? Who do I think about in the fourth quarter of the game? Who do I think about when, I overspend on a weekend? Who am I thinking about when, I don't get the grade that I was looking for on that exam? Who do I think about that pulls me out of that hole? Because these holes that we go through in life are inevitable. Resume. I want to also just kind of touch on who I am, because I think it's very important for you all to know, especially today in this social media world where you got Clubhouse, you got Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you have everything. And as much as it is an amazing opportunity to get a free education in certain respects, there's also a lot of perpetrators out there giving out bad advice, right? And so I really think it's always important to understand who you are listening to. Listen to everybody, but just understand who they are, what their motives are, what their incentives are, right? A quick side note for a quick story or example of that, a NFL player, a former teammate of mine, he was talking to us about life insurance, certain insurance policies. And he was like, yeah, I still don't feel comfortable in my life insurance plan, but my financial advisor, they have me in 2 different insurance plans, they were custom whole life insurance policies, I believe. And the person that was in the room was like, hey, that's what they get paid the most off of, right? So you don't just have 1, you have 2 on you, right? And he's getting the most commission off of those things. So you all ultimately have to know what everyone is making money off of, where they're incentivized, so that you can make the best decision for you and not for their pocket. But Brandon Copeland, going into my 9th season in the NFL, let's back up, actually. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, originally, went to the University of Pennsylvania, 2009 to 2013, had a great football career there, but more importantly, a great amount of exposure to a lot of different industries that I probably never would have even understood or turned my attention to unless I went there and I saw other people taking on internships, and I started just taking that competitive nature on the football field and started to say, oh, well, you went to work this summer where? And they paid you what? Let me go ahead and apply there as well, right? Went to the University of Pennsylvania, was undrafted free agent. And right now we're starting to kind of get into my journey a bit. Undrafted free agent out of the University of Pennsylvania to the Baltimore Ravens, hometown team. Ooh-wee. Right after they won the Super Bowl, I'm taking over from my childhood hero, Ray Lewis, and I just have no idea what's going on. It felt really, really good, but they switched me to a totally different position, had never played it before in my life, and I was that fish that was, not even ready to swim yet, but just got thrown into the big pond, so to speak. But I'm a hustler. And what we're going to talk about today is mindset. Mindset is everything. And I've really wanted to, at that point in time, it was just about scraping, scratching, and clawing and just continuing to reach my way up the ladder and just give myself a shot to be there. My foot was clearly in the door, but now it's just about keeping it in the door, right? The average NFL career and lifespan is 3.5 years. But what a lot of people don't recognize or realize is that means a lot of people are literally playing for a week, a few months. And then there's some people on the other end playing for 12 years plus type of thing, right? But I played with a lot of people who are no longer in the NFL at this point in time. And some of them, their journeys, their dreams ended after the first mini camp, the first weekend we were there, right? What that experience taught me was that I will always have to be willing to fight for my dream and be annoying for my dream, right? No one will, clearly we all know, no one will just hand you an opportunity. No one will just hand you a spot. But in order for us to create the life that we want to live, we will have to be that annoying person that is over anxious, that is over prepared, that is just ready for any opportunity. Because the only reason why I am in the NFL today is because whenever I got that small glimpse of an opportunity, I was ready. Right? When, hey, Cope, you're not playing, you don't have to worry about it. Don't even study, don't even do anything. Okay, well, I'm going to prepare like I'm the starting linebacker for this team, whether you think I'm going on the trip or not. So that the one day, because this literally happens in the NFL, the one day you say the night before the game, hey, you're playing this position tomorrow, you're going to start. I'm prepared. I'm ready. And I noted that sounds like, oh, we're talking football. I'm literally the night before we played Tom Brady on Monday Night Football, a coach comes up to me and says, hey, you're going to be our starting linebacker tomorrow. And I'm looking at him like, you didn't want to tell me this all week? Like, you didn't want to give me a little heads up notice? It's 8 p.m. at night on Sunday. We play them tomorrow on Monday Night Football. My mama is watching. You could have gave me at least 2 days notice, right? Against the best quarterback of all time. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. The greatest quarterback of all time. But it doesn't matter what situation we're put in, because the mindset won't allow us to quit, won't allow us to stop. So with that being said, I've been with the Baltimore Ravens, the Tennessee Titans. I've scraped and scratched my way to the Detroit Lions, worked extremely hard to go from a special teams player to a starting NFL linebacker. And the day after the team named me the starter, I go out on the field. This picture right here is from that game. I don't know if you can see the me circling it on the screen share or not, but this blue jersey right here is from that game. The night before, they told me I'd be the starting linebacker. And they told me it because they knew how hard I'd worked to get there in 2017. That day I go out and making a routine tackle. My arm gets stuck in a pile and I feel a little rip. I know it's not supposed to sound like that, but hey, it's all good. I'm a starter now. I got different tendons. It's all good. You know, let me go to the sideline real quick, get healed up. Hey, Cope, let's go to the back. Oh, this is what starters do. I get it. You know, I haven't been here before. I didn't know what it was like. You taking care of me. It's preseason. I get it. Hey, Cope, feeling around and no pain at all. Yeah, Cope, I think you tore your pec. Oh, tore my pec. That sounds really, really gruesome the way you said it like that, but you know, oh well, you know, tore my pec. What's that? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? No, man, that's 6 months. Your season is over, kid. Ooh. 6 months. I mean, I'm 1, 2. Listen, man. I don't know if you heard or not, but I just got named the starter. I've been in the NFL for 4.5 years now. I've been working for this opportunity. I mean, go give me some ice, give me a Band-Aid. Let's take this thing up. We got to go next week, you know? Nah, kid, I'm sorry. Your season is over. Damn. Okay. All right, cool. What you see right here is well, actually, we'll get to this picture over here in a second, but that was my first pec surgery. Fast forward a few years, we go to the Jets, have a career years. We go to the New England Patriots last year, having the best year of my life, and literally middle of the season, I feel the same sensation on the other side. Whoa, what's going on? I've felt this before. So literally walking off the sidelines, I told them what the injury was, right? This picture right here is from right before I went into surgery and got snipped on by Dr. James Andrews. The only reason why I throw James out, he's the team doctor for Alabama. So, you know, you got the hat on. So, you know, should feel good. Felt like I was in good hands. You know, these are for Alabama players. I'm just a little guy out of Penn. But you see the smile, you see the mental fortitude going into surgery. And then fast forward to now, I'm going to start my first season in Atlanta with the Falcons this year. I want to stop sharing the screen really quickly and just kind of dive in. I think that what I have found throughout my career, because it's been a roller coaster ride, I understood that I cannot depend on any team, any one person, any one source of income to provide for me and my team, the team that I showed you earlier, right? My son has to eat regardless. My wife has to eat regardless of whether the New England Patriots like me, regardless of whether this pec holds up, regardless of what anyone in the world thinks about me, right? And so as a young player in the NFL, as soon as I came in, understanding that, hey, this thing is now, as soon as I get in here, the clock is ticking on me being out of here. I need to understand how to maximize my platform so that I can create the life I want and never, ever, ever depend on another person to feed me and my family. From that, and being introduced to a bunch of different people who, you know, you walk into the NFL and magically you get some new friends, but then you also get a bunch of people who are trying to teach you about your money. Oh, hey, have you ever heard of this? Have you ever heard of conservation easement? Have you ever heard of a custom whole life insurance policy that you can really use as an investment? Have you ever thought about venture investing? Have you ever thought about this type of real estate, opportunity zones, all this stuff? And I just kind of looked at all of them and was like, wow, these are great information. I really, really appreciate you telling me this stuff. But my question for you is, why don't you tell this to my mother? Why wouldn't you tell this to my brother? Why wouldn't you tell this to my wife? Do I need to have like a shield of NFL for you to tell me the way money really works in this world? And sadly, for a lot of people, yes, you do. Because ultimately, when you look at and evaluate the way that they eat off of who can hand them a check that they can charge fees to and make money off of, right? But what I did was we took some of the concepts and some of the people that we've learned from over the years, and we created an entire class on it called Life 101. We teach this class at the University of Pennsylvania in my my alma mater in the off seasons, excuse me. We've done it for the last 3 years. And since then we've grown it and started to do it online, accessible to anyone, right? Anybody interested, shameless plug, life101.io. Feel free to come through. We have free classes, we have free resources, and we have open classes, as well as paid classes as well. But the importance of this class is this is not the hype. This is not the hype of today's world where it's like, hey, let's invest in GameStop and just get rich overnight. Let's invest all our money in Bitcoin and just see if we can get rich overnight, right? There's a difference between gambling and wealth management or wealth creation. And I know when I use the word wealth a little bit tentatively because it turns a lot of people off. I'm not wealthy. I didn't grow up wealthy. I think some of you are probably on this call. You feel like I'm not wealthy. I don't even want to necessarily get wealthy. I just want to be able to provide for myself and my family. Well, what you have is wealth. First and foremost, you have a breath. And so that right there alone gives you an opportunity and a chance that is far greater than anything else you can ask for in this world. Now, the next part, which we're about to go through, is how do you reach the goals and the dreams that you have for yourself financially? And what a lot of people are missing in this day and age is, and I sound like I'm an old dude, I'm 29 years old, but a lot of people are missing right now because it's extremely popular to talk about putting money in the stock market and, oh, I put money into this thing and I made this big bet and I quadrupled my account overnight. But the problem is people don't talk about their losses. People only show you the highlights. When you understand that these social media platforms are literally just highlight reels, right? Nobody's showing you when they walk into their vacation bedroom and there's roaches on the ground, or, you know, there's a whole pet iguana sitting in the corner that they didn't really ask for, right? Like, people are only showing you the how, hey, take the picture again at this angle, right? Let me, you know, and sometimes we feed into that mentally. We think that everyone else is winning. And so we feel like we have to catch up and run someone else's race as opposed to just focusing on our own. So what I'm here to tell you, in order for us to create the lives that we want to create, we first and foremost have to know ourselves. I would say know thyself to create wealth. Know thyself to create wealth. Rule number one, if you want to write anything down, know thyself to create wealth. First and foremost, how many of you now let's do this. If somebody is comfortable with me, please vibe with me, feel me on this one, right? Can somebody explain to me, give me a few people, why are you in school today? Rachel, if you don't mind, since you got the Alabama hat, and I know, you know, that means you're strong and powerful. Why are you in school today?
I'm in school because I originally had a psychology degree from the University of Alabama that I have not put to use. And so I am returning to school to create a better future is a very vague answer, but I'm ready for a career path rather than floating.
Love it. That is a great answer. No, nothing vague about it. You're coming in with intention, which is more than a lot of people have.
You know, the old saying, you live and you learn, is
For real.
Rings true to me. And again, I have not put a degree to use, and I don't like the word waste, but I'm going to stick with it's not benefited me as I intended.
Yeah, for sure. Like, as somebody, I think Kobe Bryant used to say, but other people have said it too, I'm sure, but I never fail, I only learn, right? Like, there is no failure as long as you've learned from it, and that's real, right? I'm failing right now.
That's hard. So it's a daily mantra.
For sure. Does anybody else tell me why they're in school? I see Jennifer says, so I can have options to take care of my family in case something were to happen to my husband again. Now that's awesome. Taylor, let me hear what you got.
Hello. I'm in school because I'm a biology major. And so this is the next step in my life. I have to go to school. Some people, my friends, they always talk about me because I say that I need school in order to be successful. and they think the complete opposite. But I truly think that you need school to be successful, and the skills that you can gain from it as well.
Love that. Love that. So it sounds like what everyone, for the most part, would agree with, to some shape, form, or fashion, you are in school to create a lifestyle for yourself, right? And some of that, I mean, by show of hands, if you're comfortable with it, does that lifestyle correlate to the amount of money that you can make, right? Do you need some type of money, right? You want to have a house, you want to have a roof over your head, you want to have a car. By show of hands, somebody give me that. No? Cool.
Yes.
Right. So what I've always told people is literally we go to school. Since we're young, right? Like I remember being in school and was like, hey, why are you going to school? Why am I going to school today, Mom? You know, well, you need to grow up and, you know, you want to have a house one day. You want to get a good job. You want to do all these things. Okay, cool. And get a good job one day. All right, cool. So secretly, what does getting a good job actually do? Give you access and money, so to speak, right? See, I've been literally working we've all been literally working since we were kids for money, right? However, we don't spend enough time educating ourselves on how to master our money and make money our employees. So I want you all to understand, right? What I tell people is we've worked our entire lives for money. Now, once we get it, once you get that paycheck, that was the investment beforehand. Now you get the paycheck. Now you got to work twice as hard to learn how to save it. And then 3 times as hard to learn how to grow it. A lot of us are so focused on just getting the money that we just become the hamsters on a hamster wheel, right? We just, I got to get the next paycheck. I got to get a promotion. I got to get to the next job. And I want this house and I want this, as opposed to really sitting down and understanding how do we secure what we've already invested our entire lives for. And when we talk about securing it, there are a bunch of different layers and levels to that we can get into at a different time, a different speech, all of those things, right? But first and foremost, I want you all to start to put an emphasis on your understanding of money. If you're looking for places to start, I'm sure you have resources at your school. We have some free resources on Life 101. One book I recommend is The Banker's Code. Start to understand how banks think, why banks work the way that they do, right? Have you ever thought about, well, listen, I go and give my money to a bank, and then if I go to a bank and I want to take out a loan for a car or something, then now I'm actually paying money to withdraw some of my own money. Whoa, right? Or if you go to a bank and say, hey, I want this amount of money right now. They say, whoa, you can't do that. I thought you had my money back there. Oh, man, you got to give us a little heads up. They're taking your money and they're putting it to work for them. That is how the banking system works. So if it's good enough for the banks, we have to understand this as well so that we understand the value of our money. The next thing I want you to ask yourselves, how many of you, raise your hand if you have never invested? Cool, only a couple. And sorry, I can only see like one page of people, so cool. So for those of you who feel like you've never invested, again, I want to tell you, you're wrong. You are completely wrong. Not all investments are created equal, right? The best investment in the world is an investment in yourself. You right now, being right here is an investment, right? Sometimes, again, we fall into social media traps. We fall into CNBC and all these things. I'm on their financial wellness council. Like, I'm on the council of CNBC. Who would have ever thought that they let this dude on the council of CNBC, right? But that shows you can do anything you want to in this world. But with that being said, understanding that investing is different. It doesn't always just mean buying a stock, watching it grow and selling out of it. Doesn't mean buying bonds, right? Some things are, you've invested in yourself your entire life. This education that you're getting right now is an investment in yourself. That is the best investment in the world. So make sure that you are taking care of it, and also make sure that you understand that as you go, because a lot of people are investing in other things, but they're not investing in themselves. A story came out about me years ago that talked about Brandon Copeland lives off of 10% of his income and saves 90%. Really, 90% is really just invested, right? And some people were like, wow, man, I want to live like you when I grow up. I want to be cheap. I'm going to be much more cheaper in terms of my expenditures, just like you. And I'm like, damn, I am kind of cheap, but it doesn't hurt as bad when I say it, right? But when you call me cheap, geez. But ultimately, I had to tell him, like, I'm not cheap. I'm literally investing in myself. I'm making the best investment of all time. I'm investing in an older, grayer version of myself who doesn't want to wake up and go out and work hard at a job or anything like that. Like, I am literally saving money and living differently now so that later on in life I can live and give like no one else. That's what Dave Ramsey says. So I want you all to understand that there are sacrifices that you will have to make if you want to live differently than everyone else, because most of us are getting it wrong, right? A lot of people highlight NFL players and say, well, two-thirds of NFL players go broke within 2 to 3 years of retirement. Well, it's just because our stuff is on Google. But 70% of lottery winners also go broke within 5 years of hitting the lotto. It's because we don't know this stuff. We don't practice these things. We don't practice budgeting. We don't practice investing. We don't practice tax strategy. So I wanted to really emphasize, we're going to open it up for questions here. And I know sometimes people come to these things and they're like, well, give me the one tip to help me reach financial freedom. First and foremost, this is a mindset. This is a long-term thing. This is a journey. You need to understand your team. You need to understand your why. You need to understand what is going to keep you on that path to success. You also need to get as one of my best friends just said the other day, you need to remove your cool cloak. You got to get dorky in this thing, right? Like, you got to enjoy this stuff, right? The other day, my son made $160. I posted it on my Instagram story. And of course, a lot of people, this was one of the most beautiful things to me personally. Of course, a lot of people look at it like, oh, you're in the NFL, your son, again, he's 20 months old. I post a picture of him sleeping in the crib, drool all over his face, right? And he's got $160 in his brokerage account that he's made for the day. People are like, you're in the NFL, you gave him the money, duh, like, okay, cool, big whoop. The money that he has in his account is money I would have paid in taxes. However, by understanding tax law, I'm able to keep that money and keep it within my bloodline. Bernie Sanders tweeted something the other day talking about if you paid $120 in shoes if you bought over $120 in Nike shoes in the past 4 years, you've paid more in taxes than Nike has paid over the past 4 years. Nike has made billions of dollars, right? Understanding that this is a chess match and you have to really dive in to this stuff so that you can really maximize your gains and your returns. Again, last time I'll say it, a lot of people are focused on the investing, as you should. Money needs to become your employees. That's the only way you reach retirement. If you're not thinking about retirement, I'm going to say these might be a little harsh, but I told my co-professor this years ago as well. He said, I've never even had the chance to think about retirement. I get it, but guess what? If you're not thinking about retirement, you're a hamster on a hamster wheel. You'll always be running the same race. At some point, even if you're not able to save for retirement yet, you still need to be thinking about it. How do I get closer to not working as hard one day? So many of us are so happy to talk about, oh, I'm grinding all day. 365 days out of the year, 24/7, grind don't stop, no days off. I'm here to tell you, Keith listed off all the things I'm doing. And right now I'm like, I can't keep doing this. This is not the way. The best money in the world, the best life in the world is that passive income and that opportunity to live the way that you want to live, right? I want you all to have financial freedom. So one, again, think about investing, and thinking about investing is cool, but you also need to think about how you secure what you've already put sweat equity, a sweat investment into over the long term. Right? How do I make sure, okay, I just made $100. How do I make sure I keep more of that $100 than than I typically would have if I did not execute on a strategy or if I did not think about this differently. Yes, that does take, let's cut a little subscription here, let's do this here, let's do this here, but it also takes understanding the levels and layers to financial education a bit better. With that being said, hopefully I didn't talk around the subject or beat around the bush or anything like that. I really want to open it up, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. But again, truly appreciate you all listening to me. And really excited, like I said, that we finally got a chance to get this going after what's been one hell of a year. But it's super excited for the opportunity here moving forward as well. So with that being said, definitely want to open it up to any questions.
So Brandon, you have a question in the chat, and the question is, Mr. Copeland, how can you save when you can barely make ends meet?
Oh, great question, B. Great question. So again, what I want you to think about, B, is you may not be in a place where you feel comfortable saving today. However, what I want you to think about is the mindset. And I want you to start creating good habits, because unfortunately for a lot of us, a lot of people, we allow the place where our shoes are to affect our long-term future and projections. What I mean, and that kind of sounded a little weird when I say that, but if I would have been at 2013, I was a rookie in the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens. I was signed to a 3-year, $1.45 million contract. I saw 24,000 of those dollars before saying, hey kid, you're not good enough. Don't think you can make it. I had a head coach of a team say, hey, you may be too slow to make it in this league. Not sure if we got a spot for you. If I would have saw myself as who I was in that moment, we wouldn't be sitting here today, right? So I really want you to think like that, right? Like, maybe I can't afford to save today, but what can I be doing to prepare myself for my breakthrough? Another example of that, Tom Brady does not wait until the Super Bowl to practice the fourth quarter 2-minute comeback drive, right? He literally practices these things throughout the week, throughout the year, so that when he's in his breakthrough moment and we're all looking like, wow, Tom Brady did it again. He's like, man, this is not even as hard as it was in practice. I've worked for this, right? I'm prepared for my moment. The problem we have is a lot of us and again, you know, we got the same name, so I got to talk to you, right? Like a lot of us, we wait until our big moment and then we want to scramble to get it together. And that is why athletes go broke. That is why lottery winners go broke, right? We need to make sure we're preparing for our breakthrough. Final example I'll give, I know I'm kind of beating this one on the head because I think, again, it's mindset. What we've done with financial education in this country is imagine at 16 years old, you've never seen a road, never seen a stop sign, never seen a red light, green light, or anything, right? Like you're saying, B, like, how can I practice saving if I don't have enough to save? I can barely make ends meet. I get it. But imagine if at 16, you've never seen any of that stuff, and I just came and threw you keys. You said, "Toop," and I said, go ahead, get on the highway. Good luck. That's going to go really, really bad, right? So again, we have to practice because your breakthrough is coming, right? You don't know when it's going to come. You don't know when that job opportunity is going to come. You don't know when that offer letter is going to come. You don't know when that breakthrough is going to come, but you want to be ready to capitalize fully on it. Great question, B. Hopefully,
Brandon, next question is, you mentioned GameStop earlier. What are your opinions on what is happening in the market currently? And do you think that GameStop is a valid investment? Why or why not?
Gotcha. So personally, what I think is happening in the market is right now people are Main Street, which is us, right, is pushing back against Wall Street. And what Main Street is doing is doing what Wall Street has basically done for years and years and years. Hey, let's gang together. Let's figure out what we think about a stock, and then let's push it where we want it to go, right? When Main Street does it, Wall Street gets really, really mad and really, really upset, right? Personally, I don't believe in GameStop as a stock investment, right? Like, would any of you be talking about it if it wasn't just shooting up the way it was? if I don't believe in it, I tend to not invest in it, right? I've worked way too hard with my money to gamble. And when you're doing things like that, while you see every once in a while, you see those people like, oh, that person made $1 million overnight, right? But they don't talk about for every 2 people that did that, they don't talk about the 98 that are literally just sitting there like, what was I thinking? And lost their whole year's work. So again, I think right now in the stock market, we have a big pushback. We have a big fight of like people understanding group economics and their power in their dollar, right? We also see it in the world right now, right? People understand, sorry, I'm kind of going on a little tangent. I apologize, but people also understand years ago, if we were talking about politics or if we were talking about money, people would be like, whoa, 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 why are you talking about who you voting for? Why are you talking about your politics, right? But now, because of social justice, the social justice push in this world, and because of people wanting to be conscious about their money, people are realizing like, well, we weren't talking about those things before, but they all stem to power in this country. So what Wall Street is experiencing right now is a power struggle. People are starting to understand the value of their dollars. Hey, if we all invest in Dogecoin right now, hey, we might shoot the stock price up a little bit. And guess what? If we shoot it up a little bit and we tell other people, all of us tweet it out, and maybe other people jump on, now we all sell it tomorrow, right? So people are starting to understand those things. And I think that that's the struggle or the battle that you see. What I am doing personally, I'm trying to make sure, again, I keep my team in mind. I keep my plan and my why in mind. And I'm only investing in things that I think will be here for the next 20 to 30 years, at least, right? I don't have time to gamble. Like I said, the money that you all are making, you've invested in it. You've invested in making it since you were a little kid sitting in the classroom. For me personally, I'm not gambling my son's lunch on GameStop, a company I haven't even walked into in years.
Thanks, Brandon. Next question is, in addition to Banker's Code, what other finance books would you recommend?
So Banker's Code is a great one. On that, if you go to life101.io/resources, there's a whole list of books from the Banker's Code, and that is a free PDF online. So just click the link and you get it for free. This is literally the best money book I've ever read. There's some real estate books on there as well. I want you all to check out The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach as well. The Automatic Millionaire and The Latte Factor. I think both of those books really emphasize the fact, because a lot of us feel like, oh, I can't be a millionaire. What are you talking about? Like, I can't be a millionaire. But if you knew that most millionaires in this country never made over 6 figures in their lifetime, you go, what? You think I'm lying, but like, that's true, right? Like, most millionaires in this country are from consistent investment into their retirement accounts and allowing it to grow over time, right? Those are the things that I want you guys to realize. I want you guys to understand. I want you guys to feel empowered by, because again, for so long, we've been told this life is reserved for just a few, and it's not. It is reserved for the few people that can stay disciplined amongst all the other noise, right? It's hard to say, hey, I'm going to stay in this weekend while all my friends are going out, because I really can't afford to go out this weekend and set myself back. It's hard to say, let me go ahead and put a little bit of money towards my 401k this year. Let me go ahead and put a little bit of money in my IRA this year. But I do kind of want a vacation. I deserve to treat myself. And that might be true. But ultimately, those decisions are what you're going to look back on and think, yes, I did it right, or probably didn't need to take that second vacation.
Okay, next question is, what is your opinion on retirement investments, and are IRAs or 401ks as viable for wealth growth as mutual fund investments?
Oh, great question. So 401ks, I think 401ks are, the benefit in a 401k is, besides the taxable deduction, is also the potential company match, right? So what I try to tell people, and again, kind of getting into the weeds a little bit here, but if you're evaluating investing in a 401k, you want to first and foremost look at, what's my company match? If they're giving me a certain amount of money towards it, that is free money. Go get it as much of it as you can, right? After that, that's when I tell people to look at your tax bracket and see, like, hey, I'm at, say the tax bracket, I'm at 85,000, I'm being taxed at 24%. But if I'm at 83,000, I'm being taxed at 22% for the year. Well, can I afford to go ahead and give an extra 2,000 in my 401k, and now I'm saving 2% in taxes? Now we're getting creative. Now we're having fun with it, right? Outside of that, then you have your IRAs and things like that. And IRAs are definitely good in wealth creation, in my opinion, especially Roth IRAs, because now you're allowing compound interest and you're allowing your money to grow for you over time, tax-free, right? So for those who don't know the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, again, I'm not sure what everybody, knowledge base is in the class right now, but a traditional IRA means you put money into this retirement account and you are not taxed on the way in. So you get a tax deduction for putting it in. And then when you're 59 and a half or older, you can take it out and you are taxed then. Roth IRA, you're saying, hey, I'm gonna get taxed now at whatever my income tax bracket is, and then I'm gonna let this thing grow for the rest of my life. And whenever I take it out, I am not taxed on any of it, right?
That actually brings the next question, ties directly to that. How did you start to educate yourself on the tax laws and loopholes in the system in order to maximize the value of your dollar?
Yeah, conversations. So literally, I think sometimes right now, I've worked in New York City. I know I'm not sure if any of y'all have ever been to New York City, but you sit on the subway and everybody's in their phone, right? Or you're going from place to place and everybody's in their phone. Everybody's so dialed in on that. And sadly, at this point in time, sometimes I'm like that too, because I'm trying to handle a bunch of different business ventures and things like that. But like, you got to understand when to open yourself up to the outside realm, because you could be missing out on a learning opportunity. So first and foremost, having conversations with different subject matter experts, accountants, financial advisors, and literally not putting them against each other, but I'll take something that one person said and I'll go, hey man, what you think about this? What you think about a SEP IRA? What you think about this insurance plan? And sometimes they look like, whoa, where'd you learn about that, right? But ultimately conversations, and I also want you guys to understand, we don't have to just rely on the experts to have these conversations. Like, we can talk with each other. Like, literally, if we guys said, hey, this is what Life 101 is. Like, if we just said, hey, everybody, let's go this week, let's all just look up one thing on taxes. And then next week we'll come back and let's talk about it and let's see what we found. Hey, I heard about this thing called a conservation easement. Hey, I heard about this thing called, and then we start to build together. So the other thing I'll say is like YouTube. Like, when you talk about tax strategy, like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's another book that's on the resource page. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the things he said, I posted in our Telegram group chat, which again, I welcome all of you to join. I'll get the link. Chad, if you can put the link in the chat, would appreciate that. But one of the things he said is like, wealthy people are worried about taxes. And so sometimes you just gotta, like, I look at a lot of different people's interviews and I just hear something that they say, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me look this up, right? Because they're talking from a different level of experience. And, again, so not to dive deeper into the different individual things, but just conversation, YouTube, vetting the person that I'm listening to for sure, but conversation is the biggest thing.
Okay, we're going to go with two more questions, Brandon. The first one is, what do you think about investing in the S&P 500, and given that it has high returns each year?
Yes. So sorry, I was answering one of the questions in the chat. Yes, in terms of real estate bubble, Brandon, but we'll talk about that at a different time. So the S&P 500, historically, that is one of the I guess you might be able to call it one of the safest bets in the world, right? You're investing in the American economy, right? And so, it's something that I personally have had to turn my own investment strategy towards. So I'm I'm the guy who likes to be the quarterback, so to speak. Not that I don't play that position, but if we lose money as a family, I wanted me to be able to say like, hey, like my bad, right? I'm gonna go work and get it back. I don't necessarily like to bet on other people or other things to go work for me, right? It's what I was talking about with you guys earlier. I've had to re-understand that and begin to make sure more of my portfolio allocation is in SPY or VOO index funds, right? Investing in the top 500 companies in the country and just letting those work for me over time. Dollar cost averaging in, excuse me, and just literally being consistent and letting those work over time. So I do believe in it. Again, I think, you know, for some of us, especially first time investors, right? Like you don't have to go try to pick the next Apple. You don't have to go try to pick the next Tesla. Sometimes you're like, I want to invest in Amazon, but it's way too expensive. Go invest in the index and let all of those CEOs do the work for you.
Okay, we're going to go to a career advice question. It says, earlier you emphasized how important it was to build up your resume. What is the best way, in your opinion, to set yourselves apart to get that job we always want when we probably are not always the most qualified for the job?
Yeah. Ooh, great question. So what I would say is there's a couple of stages in your job search process, right? Like, have you already made contact with the people that you want to speak with, or are you trying to actually make that breakthrough and make that first interaction and introduction? But the biggest thing I can say is go add value initially, right? Like if I'm not unprepared, but if I know I'm kind of a little bit outmatched at the people I'm competing with, well, if we're all walking into the interview on the first day, I'm going to walk in with a little bit more value than everybody else. And what do I mean when I say that? So if we're all walking into an interview and we all walk in, hey, I'm such and such, and I went to this school, and I boom, boom, I have this GPA and such, boom. But I walk into the interview and I say, hey, I'm Brandon Copeland. I went to this school, got such a GPA. You don't really care. It doesn't matter. But guess what? I looked online. I saw that these are some of the things that you all are interested in as a company this year. And so for me, I just wanted to take the time and just show you, like, if I were you, I would do this, this, or this, or these are other areas you may be missing, right? Well, now you've just walked in with something that, one, makes you stick out amongst the competition, and two, you've already added value to the company. Whether they need that piece of information or not, you've just shown a different type of initiative than every other candidate that walked in there, right? Little things like sending follow-up thank you emails immediately after. I spoke with, years ago, I did an internship at UBS, Union Bank of Switzerland. It's a Wall Street firm. And it was the president of the bank, the president of the America's Investment Bank. It's a multi-billion-dollar firm. And one of the things he told us, he said, listen, when people come into my, when I interview people, within the first 5 minutes, I literally write one name, one word on the top of their resume. Like in the first 5 minutes, I have written and figured out whether I'm going to hire this person or not. So I use that as an example, not to put more pressure on yourself, but for you to find some type of trick in your mind that allows you to go in warmed up already and make yourself comfortable, make yourself at home, right? I know some people who used to do some weird things beforehand. I mean, I'm gonna share this. It's recording, but I'm gonna share this. I remember one of my friends. He was a intern. He was like, I try to get to interview places earlier just to go take a number 2 in their bathroom. I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, well, I just think about it like there's not too many places you do that and you don't feel comfortable. So I do that, and then I walk into the interview and I just feel like this is my house, right? I'm like, that is weird. But he literally aces every interview, like he's killing it right now, right? I remember being in college, like, what are you talking about? But hey, if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. Now, don't be going, using all the toilet paper in certain places, and then you find out, dang, these guys didn't even have toilet paper. But I share that as a funny story because it sounds crazy, but that is literally what some people do, right? For me, I keep little things. I'm fidgety with my hands, so I keep little things in my hands as I talk. What I also try to do in interviews, another last interview tip, what I also try to do, you know, as Maya Angelou said, people don't remember what you say, but they remember how you made them feel, right? Some of you won't remember anything I say, but you'll probably remember, hey, this guy came on with a little bit different energy than I've ever seen in the Zoom chat. He asked me about MJ and LeBron. He asked me about blue cheese, right? Like, and that might be the only thing that you remember that I said, right? And so when you go into interview situations, I want you to feel confident and comfortable becoming the interviewer, making the interview person talk the entire time, and not in a weird way, but like when they throw you questions, you know, hey, what school did you go to? I went to the University of Pennsylvania. Yeah, what about yourself? You know, one of the things that was one of the easy breakthroughs I saw with a lot of people. They shared their college and then they smiled. You know, oh, I went to the University of Virginia. Oh, how was that? Oh, good time, huh? Right. And now you end up having a 30-minute interview and you keep throwing questions back at them. And for 15 to 20 minutes, they just spoke about themselves. They're not going to walk out of that interview process and think like, man, that sucked, when you just spoke about yourself for 20 minutes, right? So figuring out little tricks and little things that work for you it's worked for me thus far. But I think the final thing I'll say is when you walk into these rooms, be confident. Be confident, be confident. It's a principle we talk about in class as well. Is like, you practice for those situations. You deserve to be here. You deserve to be in the room. A lot of us have imposter syndrome. I have imposter syndrome myself as well, right? Understand it is natural, but you deserve to be there. And sometimes you have to put that lion in your head to just say, no, you've worked for this. No. This isn't a mistake, right? Like, you deserve to be here right now at this time. And so when you walk into those rooms, you have to understand you have worked to be in that room. You need to have your presence about yourself. And that also goes a long way in trying to make sure that you win the role that you're looking for.
So thank you, Brandon. It's time to wrap up, and I want us to show our appreciation to Brandon. I think the best way we could do that is in the chat right now. Tell Brandon one takeaway that you're going to remember, not just your feeling, but one takeaway you're going to remember for the long run from this chat. I think that's maybe the best way we could show Brandon our thanks for him coming in and speaking with us. So many wonderful things in this talk. I love that we have this recorded. And I'm so grateful for Brandon for coming and sharing with us. It's really fantastic advice. And Brandon echoes a lot of the things that you hear in our personal financial planning class. I know many of you are in that class, and if you're not, it's a great way to learn more about these topics. So Brandon's now going to go. He has a one-on-one with our student. We had the essay contest, and we had the one-on-one experience coming next. But really wonderful things are in the chat. Brandon, you made a big impact on us. We really appreciate you sharing your time being with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all for having me. I've left my contact info in the chat bar. Extremely excited that you all are taking that personal finance course. Again, lean into those things, lean into those discussions. If it's boring, it is probably right? Like, there's a lot of people losing their wealth on a day-to-day basis because they're trying to gamble as opposed to making the boring decision and the boring investment, right? That's what people don't want to do. And so you have to lean into those things. So I appreciate you all. Again, thank you so much. And again, I left my info in the chat.
Thanks to all the students that attended, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for putting it on. I'll see you. Wow.